eye defects are difficulties or abnormalities that tend to affect all of us. But especially, we're told, according to what the experts are saying, there are certain lifestyles that lead to us being predisposed, if I can use the medical terms a lot more accurately, to be plagued with eye defects. But today is World Sight Day, and events have been put together by the known professionals and the professional groups to mark the day. But we also on the show want to make sure we keep you a lot more interactive but also enlightened about your eye and what you need to do as far as keeping the sight correctly. And so we have in the studio Dr. James Amu, and he is going to tell us a lot more about what the World Sight Day is, but more importantly, what we need to do to make sure we raise our consciousness towards our eyes. A very good morning to you, Dr. Amu. Okay. Now, how did we come about by having the World Sight Day? Is there any history behind it?
Yes, actually about 25 years ago, the world came together through the World Health Organization and then the International Agency for Prevention of Blindness. We call them IAPB. It's actually a group of NGOs who are involved in eye care. They came together and realized that the burden of blindness globally is huge and is going to increase if nothing is done about it. In fact, at that time, it was such that the population of the world, or the blind people, were about 31 million. Now, and then the people who have visual impairment was about 246 million. Over the years, interventions have been put in place, and therefore, at the moment, though it has calmed down, and therefore could not increase the way that it should have been by the year 2020. So, but then there's still a problem of burden of blindness, there's visual impairment, and that's why the WHO and then IAPB came together to have the World Sight Day. And the day is actually created in such a way that the global attention is focused on the burden of blindness, like I said, the causes of blindness, and what we can do to prevent blindness. And so basically that's the focus of the day.
Usually, when we say World Sight Day, and I've read a couple of the literature, it's got to do more with blindness and making sure people don't tend to lose their sight.
Yeah.
But sometimes we have people who literally, like you are wearing glasses. It's because it's an aid, so to speak.
Yeah.
Are there certain preconditions that predispose us to?
Let me even start in more like our lifestyle. Let me even start from even pregnancy.
Okay.
Even in pregnancy, when mothers are pregnant, there are certain kind of infections that when they should get those infections, it can lead to blindness and visual impairment. And then during delivery, if you don't deliver, maybe in the hospitals, you deliver at home, it can also cause predispose the children to blindness and visual impairment. Whilst we are growing up as children, the way we play around with sharp objects, sticks, and pointed pencils, pens, that can also expose us to blindness and visual impairment. And of course, when we grow up, our lifestyle, sedentary work, the kind of food we eat, lack of exercise, all those things can predispose us to systemic diseases like diabetes, hypertension, and all those things will end up giving us eye problems. So yes, our lifestyle, even from pregnancy, all the way through delivery, through childhood, and then of course in adulthood. But there are certain blindness or visual impairment which is age-related that we can't do much about it. But we shouldn't go blind from those conditions.
And we know that you mentioned cataract and glaucoma.
Yes.
And in our part of the world, and especially in the sort of education we do in the media, it kind of predominates the discussions. Tell us a bit about glaucoma and also subsequently tell us about cataract.
Okay. In fact, basically, like you asked about the history of the World Sight Day, initially the causes were more cataract, glaucoma, trachoma, onchocerciasis, childhood blindness, age-related macular degeneration, refractive errors. But over the years, because of the intervention that we put in place, the causes of blindness from infections have gone down. Trachoma, onchocerciasis is virtually on the verge of being eliminated. But then now what we have now is the cataract and the glaucoma. Now, cataract, like I said, is age-related. So once we are growing, definitely everyone will be having cataracts. But then the essence of the day and what we have to do is that we shouldn't go blind from cataracts. Once we are born, we have a lens inside our eyes. The lens is very transparent and we can see everything. But once we are growing up, there's more lens fibers that are developed. And then also there are a lot of metabolism. We eat metabolism of glucose, there's lipid metabolism, and all those things also affect the lens. So gradually the lens becomes opaque. And once they become opaque, the vision goes down. It's painless. So most of the time you don't feel anything. And once the vision starts going down, that means that we have to do something about it. Beginning, we can use spectacles to correct the vision. But as time goes on and the cataract is maturing, vision continues to go down. And at a point, you have to have surgery in order to restore your sight back.
Over time, we get to find that we in this part of the world tend to predispose ourselves to a lot more of the diseases because we don't tend to seek medical treatment very early. Is that true?
It's true. Yes.
Why is that?
First and foremost, because most of the eye condition usually will end up not killing you. And people also believe that once you have a disease, once you are growing up, it's like divine that you should have some bit of visual impairment. And therefore, there are a lot of people who have eye problems, but then they still think that they don't need to go to the hospital. People even need just common spectacles, but they have the belief that if they wear the spectacles rather will end up worsening their sight. So even if you give it to their children, they prevent their children from wearing it. Even for they themselves, they don't want to wear it. And of course, then they go on with the visual impairment. Others come from money. The money is not there. I mean, now we are happy that the health insurance is providing some basic drugs for everyone. But then there are other potent drugs that people need. But because they don't have the money to buy those drugs, then of course they will stay at home. Some of the eye diseases are chronic. That means that we cannot cure it. We can only control it. So for how long are you going to buy drugs? Maybe very expensive drugs and continue for the rest of your life. So those are some of the reasons why. Especially
when we know in Ghana and the rest of the sub-region or the continent, we don't have the economic status of everybody equitable. How then do we show up treatment, or perhaps make sure that the treatment, which is very much expensive in some cases, is affordable to those who don't have or vulnerable or are in the minority?
In fact, that is why the rolling theme for the whole site day for today is universal eye health, meaning that no matter your economic status, you should not go blind from any causes of blindness. You should not go blind. And if you have visual impairment, the costs or whatever needs that you have to get, you have to make sure that you get it in order not to go blind. And because of that, we have the health insurance helping others. We also have the universal eye health also decides that the cost must be such that we don't have people not being able to pay for eye care services. And that's why occasionally we run screening services for those who are poor in certain poor communities in the country. We do screening for them. We provide them with free, those who need spectacles, we provide them with free spectacles. For those who need drugs, some of these drug companies also support us to go to those particular communities. And it's one of the areas that we are looking forward into, outreach services to underserved areas in the country. There are so many areas where they don't have access to the ophthalmologist, they don't have access to the eye nurse, the optometrists, and even the opticians. So what we are doing now is that we are focusing on the underserved areas so that, like the universal eye health, not even the poorest in the country should be denied access to anything that will restore his sight and then make him see better and become a.
We have a
member
couple
the
of messages because we try as much as possible to get this very segment interactive.
Okay.
And this one from Ima from Asanko says, Doctor, my eye color looks too reddish, as if I'm a weed smoker.
Okay.
Please, how can I make it white?
When we are born, our eyes are white, and once you are growing, the color will change. There's no way that if you are grown up, your eyes will be as white as a child. The eyes being red, is it possible that he's not having adequate sleep? That can also make the eye red. Is it possible that the work that he's doing is exposing into a lot of infections? I mean, continuous infections, you treat it, it comes again. That could be possible. I don't think that there's redness should be there all the time, and therefore if you think it's there all the time, then he should go to the hospital so that he'll have a
Yima MD Kwesi, what says I've been diagnosed as having a refractive error. What does it mean? And I want a collision, an explanation. And he says I had a collision accident when I was 7, and it resulted in some stitches at my eyebrow area. Can that be the cause of my eye problems? Because he says as of now he can't even look at the beam from a torchlight.
Okay, that is true. Refractive error is that, like you said, it's an error. I mean, once you are growing up, the eyeball is supposed to grow in pace with the rest of the body, but in certain conditions, the eyeball may stop growing, or it may even grow faster than the body is supposed to grow. So the eyeball may become bigger than normal, or may become smaller than normal. In that sense, then, of course, when you look at objects, the objects do not fall on the retina for you to be able, for the brain to be able to perceive and give you the whatever you are looking at. So once you are given the spectacle, then spectacles either make compensation for either the eyeball being short or being long, and therefore the object that you are observing will fall on the retina and you can see very clearly. That's why if you have a refractive error, you're supposed to use your spectacles, and that's supposed to give you a good vision. I have a belief that the trauma that he had, the accident that he had, may have been part of the problem, but then once it can be corrected with spectacles, I would advise that he goes for spectacles.
Okay. So if there are many young children these days, or have always existed, so to speak, they can't see from afar. So they're in the classroom, they can't see from the marking board, etc. What sort of problem is that?
They can't see from, in fact, they have refractive error, and
it's called refractive error.
Yes, it can be corrected. It can be corrected. And these days, because like our lifestyle, our children are now watching television all the time, exposed to the computer, playing games all the time. So at the end of the day, it gives them a bit of a refractive error. So whether you are sitting in front of the class, you don't see, or you are sitting at the back, you cannot see, it's an error. And therefore, I will plead with those parents and then the teachers concerned to send those children to the hospital as early as possible.
As early as possible?
Yes.
All right. Let's look at this as we also try to dovetail or mainstream this into our discussions, because she walks into the Wesley College of Education with the support of a guide. Her long anticipated journey to realizing her dream of becoming a teacher begins after she survived alleged murder plot by her own mother. And we're bringing you the chilling story of 24-year-old visually impaired Theresa Kwatima, who came to public attention through Inshira FM's Obra program, and subsequently the station and its listeners have teamed up to give her a lifeline. And on this very occasion, where we're also marking the World Sight Day with our discussions this morning, we're also throwing the spotlight on the life of Theresa Kwatima. And Joy News' Kwesi Deborah is bringing you a report on her.
Theresa Kwatima alleges she was confined for years by her own mother and other relatives who even attempted to poison her. They refused to buy drugs prescribed for her whenever she fell sick. Her crime is that she had been blind, a condition her relatives found her embarrassing due to public ridicule. Theresa's grandmother and only solace saw her through school up to second cycle level. The old lady was, however, too weak to be able to continue providing for her personal and educational needs. After completing senior high school at the Kropon School for the Blind, Theresa was back home in hopelessness. Her schoolmate, who had trained as a teacher, gave her some money to resit some papers she had failed in the West Africa Senior Certificate exams. Theresa finally made a grade and got admission at Wesley College of Education, but how to raise money to pay fees was yet another stumbling block. An appeal saw volunteers contributing 3,000 Ghana cedis to put her back to school. Theresa is among 10 visually impaired students admitted to study social education at Wesley College this academic year.
They also me friendly their own pet. But the woman are 6 months in the man. So I think maybe I will move to my family. It is a physical company for talk at a remaining you do now. That's what I'm coming. I mean, I'm
Head of the visually impaired unit at Wesco, Bid the Venerable Bugase, finds it unfair for physically challenged students to pay the same fees as their able-bodied colleagues. He wants the Ghana Blind Association to intensify advocacy on issues affecting its members.
The biggest challenges are the what do you call it? The payment of fees. Like they are with their colleagues, the disability at least, they do not do certain subjects. They don't bring their textbooks in Braille. They don't. It's just the normal this thing that courses that they go through, and they are expected to pay like their sighted colleagues. That is our biggest challenge, because at least they should have been exempted from paying the same amount of fees as their colleagues. So I think the Special Education Department, the Ghana Blind Union should come together and fight that cause.
So do you see
things that they shouldn't be doing that they are expected to do? Looking at the fees especially. The sighted colleagues, they take exercise books, they take a whole lot of things. When they pay and you give me, as a visually impaired person, you give me an exercise book, how do I benefit from it? You see, so at least we think that these things should be looked at, and then they streamline things, and we're able to work very well.
Mr. Bugasi also recommends education authorities to provide software to facilitate completion of online admission by visually impaired persons.
Yeah, the admissions, when it comes to admissions, for example, because they are exempted from maths and science, when they fill the online, automatically they are not qualified. You see, so Accra online goes to teacher education, and they will now have to sit down and select those who are qualified. But in our situation, it would have been better that they have a software for the visually impaired, because on the form there is a disability column where they will now have to enter this information, and then at least they'll be admitted. I will now have to sit down and select forms and present to the principal for admission. So this is a very big challenge, because if not for that, that means we don't have had any visually impaired student this year. You see, unfortunately, we had a new principal who is very listening.
And that's that very report put together by our own Kwesi Deborah. But then that is how we also mainstream the discussion, looking at the other side as we mark World Sight today. We've also been joined by Madam Jessie Ankra. She's an ophthalmic nurse with the Eye Nurses Group of Ghana. And thanks for joining me.
Thank you.
You also work with the Ghana Health Service? Or used to?
Used to.
Okay. But you work that very story of that young lady who was not liked by the mother subsequently because she got to know that she was blind from birth. How many of such do we have, and what statistics there are to say perhaps maybe we have 10 in 1 or 10 in 100?
In fact, like we're discussing initially, she was born blind. So when we were talking about the father, probably during pregnancy, the mother may have had infection, any of these infections, the Torch syndrome, if we can say that, the toxoplasmosis, the rubella infection, the cytomegalovirus, any of these infection, probably the mother had it during the pregnancy, and therefore the child will be born like this. We don't have too many cases because, like I said, now the infectious causes of these congenital blindness and visual impairment they've come down. But maybe about 1 in about 30,000 thereabout. We don't have too many of those infections. It's rather unfortunate that the mother did not like the child. It's not the fault of the child. And there's so many things we can do to help this child. Because when you talk about the universal eye health, it's for the promotive aspect, preventing blindness and visual impairment. It's for the preventive aspect, it's for the curative aspect, and for the rehabilitative aspect. So this girl can be rehabilitated. She can go through the mainstream school. She can even end up in the university and even become a medical doctor. So once you are talking about universal eye health, this is one such example. It's rather unfortunate that the mother didn't understand the whole issue, and therefore whatever we can do to help her, we'll find ways and means to help
and
her.
Auntie Jessie, earlier we're talking about how we have sections of our demographic population that can have access. So what do we do? Do we go around doing screenings to find out if people have refractive or other non-congenital problems, and
yes.
so could be corrected?
Yes. We really need to do more of the outreach programs, but at the same time we need the community to even accept us and come, because sometimes you go and they don't come, and so you go and sit there and you come back. But if the community will accept and come, that is the problem we have, because they don't want to accept that they have a problem, so they will not come. But if they are able to come, whether you have a problem or not, we are there to find out. So we would beg the community to come and listen to it.
Doc, is that my understanding, that then we still have sections of our population which seem to have stigmatized eye problems or abnormalities?
Yes, yeah. We still have a large proportion of
large,
yes.
not even small.
Yes. I mean, like I was talking to you about the fact that even the spectacles for children, some parents refuse to allow.
Yes, I'm getting skeptical about having one for my child who can see from afar.
Right.
Who can see from the board.
Yes.
But I mean, it's just.
Yeah. In fact, I would advise that the child
Yes.
get the spectacles and wear. My whole family wears spectacles. My girl started wearing spectacles from class 2. She's now in the medical school, so you can imagine the boy wears spectacles. So my family wears spectacles, and if the thing is that if the thing is not good, we ourselves will not be wearing it. So if you advise that you should have the spectacles to correct your vision, because the point is that if you don't correct the vision, you are weakening the eye. The communication between the eye and the brain will not be perfect, and therefore at a point the brain will ignore the eye, and that's where you see the black part of the eye either at the outwards or inwards, because the communication is not good. So once we need to wear the spectacles, we have to wear the spectacles.
Why do we have communities still stigmatizing eye problems?
Well, they still haven't actually accepted that there's problem with the eye. And so when you have a problem with the eye, they throw you away, because they don't see why you are saying I cannot see when everybody can see. And so that is where we have that problem. And then people do not have associated glasses with sunken eyes. So instead of you allowing your child to wear the glasses, say, no, you wear these glasses and your eye will sink in.
Is it true?
No.
Those
it is
who wear
not true.
lens, they don't have sunken eyes?
No.
Well, I already have a level of sunken eyes, so if I wear, I know that it will go further. That's my perception.
It's not going to go further. The eyeball is not going to change. The shape is not going to change. And so what you need is the glasses. You have to wear the glasses.
We'll very soon be activating the phone lines, and then you can also call, because we see that you are also sending us a lot more of those messages. For example, these days we sit behind computers a lot, and we have this one from Clem in Techiman.
Yeah.
He seems to be worried. It says that he sits behind the computer for long hours. And so does he need some special care or special glasses or aid?
And first and foremost, I'll say that lifestyle I mean, once you sit behind a computer, you shouldn't sit there for hours and hours and hours. I mean, you can work on a computer 30 minutes, 1 hour. And I'm glad that this station or the radio stations, I mean, they work for a while, then they go for a break. You understand? So I will advise that he works on the computer maybe 30 minutes, 40 minutes. He gets up, walks around. The more you move your eyes from one position and you keep looking forward and backwards, you activate the eye. And therefore, I advise that as for he himself, you should start working on the computer 30 minutes to 1 hour, gets up, walk around for a while, and then comes back. Secondly, the computers have levels of illumination. His illumination should not be too high, and otherwise then the heat from the radiation can also dry the eye. And then even if he's not getting up to walk around, he should consciously blink so that the eye will be wet and therefore do not give him that kind of problem. So those are some of the few things that I'll tell him to do. We also have anti-reflectors for computers. If he can't afford and can get the anti-reflectors on the computers, that would be good. I know that these days the computers that are coming are low radiated computer screens and things like that. But if he can protect himself by the lifestyle, blinking often, getting up and walking around, getting the appropriate spectacles with an anti-reflector, getting the screen illumination very good, all these things will help him whilst he continues to enjoy his computer.
Roland, my boy, 8 years, always has itching eyes, and this happened after birth. But the doctor says it's a dash inside the eyes and it's normal and will go, but it's still happening for 8 years now.
Yeah.
What's that?
A sort of allergy. The boy is allergic to some pollen in the air. And so anytime that pollen is around, the itching will start. He'll be sneezing. The eye will be red. And so all that we need is anytime he sees the boy sneezing, you know that the season is there. You go in and they give you the treatment so that the boy will not continually rub the eye and cause the eye white to look so red. So all that he needs, it is true. At the age of 14 and above, they are used to the pollen, and so it starts going down, and that is the end of it.
Okay. The pollens are, in fact, honestly, the things that bring this allergy are many. And at times it's very difficult to pinpoint to say that this one particular
they're just within the environment.
Within the environment.
These days we find that a lot more children are having eye problems, or unless perhaps my observational analysis is wrong. Is that the case?
I would say we are picking them. Creating awareness is bringing in more people.
Okay.
But initially it wasn't there. Now we are creating the awareness, and so we are getting more people coming in.
And then within now we are doing more screening, like she said, after awareness creation, we also do a lot of screening. And the funny thing is that we are picking a lot of eye conditions that otherwise will not be, no one will even think that is there. We are picking it from the children. And when you do trace it to the parents, you realize that the parents have it and it's even in worse condition. But because they do not have pain, because it's not giving them any problem, they think that they are okay. So because you are doing a lot more screening and then the awareness creation, and that's basically one of the things that we are doing today for the World Sight.
So you have a main event? We
have the main event. We are actually having a press briefing at the Director General of Ghana Health Service conference room at the Ghana Health Service Tema Station, and then also at all the regional capitals. They are having radio talk shows and then TV talk shows. For example, in the Eastern region, I know Dr. Dawson is doing a radio talk show at Denchembo, Akwetia, one of the FM stations. In Upper West, Dr. Kwe is on one of the radio stations also giving a talk. Konfanochi is doing a screening in front of the Konfanochi Hospital. Also, there's a screening going on at Aija near KNUST. And for Volta region, Eunice Akoli, one of our nurses, is also on one of the radio stations, also creating awareness.
Great.
Yes.
You seem to have all in your mind. And and you also have the separate events, or it's all lumped together for the Accra one?
It's all lumped together.
for the Accra one.
Yeah, but there will be another screening at Children's Park on Saturday morning.
On Saturday.
For children.
For school children.
Yes.
All right. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for passing through. And we've had in the studio Dr. Amu, and Dr. James Amuadi is an obstetric
Acting head of
okay,
the
acting head of the acting
head of the IK unit.
Okay.
Of Ghana Health Service.
Of the Ghana Health Service. And thanks for passing through the studio this morning. And also we have had in the studio Jesse Ankra, who is with the Eye Nurses Group of Ghana and ophthalmologist an ophthalmic nurse. I think I need to appropriately apportion the positions rightly. But let's look at this. A few weeks ago, Derek Okosam encountered him and had a lively interaction with him. His name is Job Entry, and he says he's the leader of the 10 virgin pastors who are on a mission to intercede on Ghana's behalf and also pray for peace as the country prepares to go to the polls. Well, that video went viral, but what has changed in his life after attaining that feat of fame, so to speak? Derek Okosam caught up with him.
How are you today? Oh, I am fine. I am feeling okay because now when I am working out, I feel that people are calling me virgin pastor. We want you to come and pray for us. So now I want to assure anybody, if you want virgin pastors to come and pray for you, call us. Okay. Because God listening to us directly. Okay. Oh, now I'm feeling that I am celebrity because people are calling me virgin pastor when I'm moving. But when you're walking about, do you feel safe? Oh, I feel safe. God is with me. Since we are virgins, we don't fear anything in spiritual and in physical, because God's protection is upon us. I am fully covered by the blood of Jesus, so I feel okay. I feel flexible. Do you have people coming out to give you money? People giving you services for free because now you are a celebrity? No, they don't give me money. Although they are happy to see me, but they don't give me nothing. But if I say they don't give me money, money is not my aim. But my aim is to proclaim peace in Ghana. But Ghana here, they don't sponsor peace campaign. Because nowadays I have seen that I'm popular in Nigeria and the whole world. When I went to net, they told me that I am very popular in Nigeria, in the whole world. So I want to launch it so that everybody from any country can come to Ghana to see the 10 virgin pastors. I want to go to rural areas to evangelize, to promote peace. As you saw President Mahama, look at my face. President Mahama sponsored me with a van. It's not because of van I am doing this, but I am promoting Ghana peace. So I need a van so that I can go to rural areas. The rich people who are in Ghana and you are listening to me, sponsor 10 virgin pastors a van. If you want to stay in Accra, yeah, which area, which of the areas would you want to live in? Oh, any area you give it to us, we like. You like East Legon? We like it. Because East Legon is a blessed area. Okay. We like it. A lot of rich people, Takums are there. Kai what? Takums. What does it mean? Takum means a very rich man, rich people are there. So tell me, after the interview, have you had women coming at you with proposals that, oh, Apostle Jobenji, want to marry you? No. So I told them that a woman is with me. I'm now about to marry her. If it will be short time, I'll marry the lady. So now any woman don't come to me to propose to me. Okay, so when you get married to that lady, where would you want to have your honeymoon? My honeymoon? Oh, any nice place. Like which country? Because that day I'll be very happy. Because I haven't slept with a woman before, and when I wedded her and I'm coming to sleep with her, I'll be happy. Because I haven't tried some before, and now I'm coming to try some. What are some of the things you have heard about sex? Tell me. They say sex is sweet, but I don't know how sweet it is. They say it's sweet than everything in this world, but I haven't done some before. So when I wedded the lady, the day I will do the honeymoon there, I will be happier in my life. So your honeymoon night, you won't sleep? No, I will not sleep. What will you be doing? I will sleep with the lady so that I will be happy. Because as a man, if you marry, you have to sleep with your lady. Tell me, Now we have this election issue where people have been disqualified.
Yeah.
Have been disqualified.
Yeah, disqualified.
Yes, which of them, in your estimation, could have been a very fine president for Ghana?
Hey, I love Dr. Park Osindiom.
Dr. Bago, what?
Dr. Park Osindiom, because he has a lot of hotel, he has created a lot of jobs. So when they removed Dr. Park Osindiom from, I was...
The name is Indum.
Yeah, Dr. Park Osindum. Hey, that man, I like him very much. Anywhere Dr. Park Osindiom, may God...
The name is Indum.
Dr. Park Osindum. On your magic in the rare. Make kind of bluff say. On your magic in the rare. On your magic in the rare. Make kind of bluff.
Translate it for me.
I want God to touch Dr. Park Osindum's heart. That man is very good, and when I hear that they have disqualified him, I become so sad in my room for the man.